This is a recording of the presenter's original transcript. Greetings, and thank you for coming to hear a little bit about virtual islands for better education and our work using OpenSim for education. By training and profession, I'm a biologist. I was first brought in world while an instructor at the University of New Orleans in August of 2009 and proposed teaching non-majors biology in Second Life the following summer. UNO's biology department had not traditionally offered any online classes, so it was an opportunity to meet an unfilled need for many students, taking a required class from home or while on summer vacation away from campus. I dove in head first, and the class worked well for most students, and many enjoyed my incorporation of many interactive activities beyond lecturing. I taught it again the following summer and in the spring of 2013. I solicited help from the Second Life community for student presentations, which began my interactions with several folk who became a part of Vibe. But beside the initial strong push at UNO that involved a Board of Regents development grant, the opportunities and institutional energy for teaching in SL started to fade, and there was the cost. While I believe that SL was a wonderful experience for most students and a great way to teach online for faculty, my perspective changed. I saw that there are many affordances of a social 3D content creation space for students, but the model of using a for-profits environment for which there's little contractual relationship between the university, as well as limited control or access to the data servers, is not standard in higher education. The relationship is non-exclusive for the space. Educators using the space also can collide with other elements of a social community metaverse run by a for-profit company with many other invested users. In the fall of 2011, the Fashion Research Institute, in conjunction with Intel, offered a land-grant program advertised on Hypergrid Business. I proposed, in conjunction with several fellow Second Life educators, to develop educational content for biology on the OpenSim grid ScienceSim. That was the formal beginning of Vibe. Max Chatnoir brought over her genetics activities into an island, and Chloe Greenwood developed a tree ecology activity, as well as her coral reef. Max even taught a section of a genetics class during the spring of 2012. This pilot event, which did involve other avatars who did not stay with Vibe, but whose time and effort is appreciated, proved that OpenSim was a place where we could transfer Second Life activities and build new ones. Before I go more into Vibe's educational activities, now is a good time to review a few aspects of OpenSim's features. I know many in the audience are familiar with it in terms of having an avatar on at least one grid, but even so, many are unfamiliar with the software itself. Slide 1. OpenSim allows one to project 3D worlds from a host computer. Like Second Life, these are points in space with descriptions and image files and physics run by underlying databases and programs. The server also maintains accounts and communications. The underpinnings are different than Second Life. However, the projection is compatible with viewers we are all familiar with. Slide 2. Most third-party viewers have a grid manager that can be customized to recognize OpenSim grids. These are just different web addresses. In the end, the user interface is mostly the same. Slide 3. The license for OpenSim is an open one. It's a BSD license, and you can find it at http://opensimulator.org/wiki/bsd_license, meaning you can install and modify and use for free. Although, and with credit to Grizzly Pixelmade here, free like a puppy, not like beer. It is also platform agnostic, so it runs on Windows, OS X, or Linux on personal computers to server hardware. Many companies and universities run Linux servers or an open learning management system like Moodle. They can save on fee cost. However, there is still a cost involving salaries and infrastructure and maintenance. Slide 4. There are several advantages to running OpenSim oneself for a school or university that already has an IT infrastructure and addresses many educational specific needs. You can control access, can have running when necessary. Depending on hardware and network, can expand when necessary. Duplication of content is not an increase in cost. One can have highly specialized regions or single-purpose OpenSIM regions. One can save and archive all the data for every registered user. You don't have to pay an outside vendor. Slide 5. Another advantage is the closeness to the server. Second Life is never as fast as being on the same network. And even geographically local connections feel very sprightly next to Second Life connections. If you press Control-Shift-1 at the same time in your viewer, you get a network panel showing ping times. This is how long a packet takes to travel from your computer to the server and back again, hopefully in milliseconds. In this screen capture insert, I am connected to an OpenSIM instance on the same network as my computer. Ping time is very short, 22 milliseconds. Go ahead and put your ping time to Second Life in local chat. Slide 6A. Another advantage is that you can run a server inside your otherwise firewalled or closed network, thus affording a high level of privacy. This is especially important for kindergarten through 12 schools. It also means you don't have to negotiate firewall or network address translation holes to an outside server with your information technology department. There are mixed environments as well involving other access controls in the OpenSIM configuration, as shown here in slide 6B. 7A. Other advantages include 1, the ability to load content into the server, and 2, to archive regions and user inventories off the databases into archive files. These files can then be shared or reused, or one can save many minor modifications. There are many people with wonderful content specifically made for educational purposes. 3, one can also easily recover a messed up region, as shown here in slide 7B, whether that was from a griefer or an administrative mistake, as long as one has a recent backup. But many of these features require a lot of text commands or computer knowledge, and that is why OpenSIM is free like a puppy, and something that, in addition to making content, is something Vibe would like to address. Make running your own servers as easy to do for the non-tech savvy, or perhaps the tech savvy but very busy. I want to emphasize this point. Vibe has successfully done this. We have run our own OpenSIM servers, built our own content, including adoption from open license builds, and conducted educational activities. 8. A summary of the Vibe Gridmasters and their grids, as well as student usage for classes. Max Chatnoir, Marion Clark, PhD in real life at Texas Wesleyan University. She runs Genome, which has several general biology islands, and she has taught 3 semesters of undergraduates. Chloe Greenwood, Carolyn Lau, PhD in real life. She's at Northern Michigan University and runs Biomes, which has Earth system science, biology lessons and activities. She has taught 2 semesters of teacher training, as well as 2 semesters of introductory biology, which for a total of about 200 students. She also has taught 1 semester of 5th and 6th graders in Bio. Carolyn is also now developing Biome for Kids, and it will feature 2 semesters of kids activities from the Biome project, and will be a private grid for her collaborators, 5th and 6th graders. Rachel Glow EDU, Rachel Umarin, MD in real life at Indiana University. She runs Global Health, Africa Traveler, 3D Teams, and SPH Places, which feature Global Health, Africa Traveler training for medical students and residents traveling to East Africa, which has a variant called MENA Traveler, which places that same scenario but in the Middle East, North Africa region. She also has 3D Teams, which is interprofessional training for health professions students, basically nursing and medical students. And SPH Places is public health for medical students in a more urban scenario. I prefer to not take away from my Gridmasters presentations of their work, but we as a group and individually have talked about our specific grids before. I invite you to watch this video from OSCC. A quick mention also of the wonderful work of Nova Saunders and her archaeology grid, which has not been used specifically in a class context. And Lazarus Papadopoulos, also has published work on his pediatric dentistry training simulator, Tooth Fairy. The Second Life version is highlighted in this video. And we look forward to the contributions of David Deeds, an 8-bit biologist, for developing grid contents for students. And we have a massive content grid project called Project Alexandria, curated by Callion residents. This will be the place we go after the presentation. This takes advantage of server-side modifications that one cannot do in SL when not running one own server. http://opensim/project_Alexandria for more information. Slide 9. Vibe has also been active at hosting a presentation series focused on educational uses of virtual worlds, although mostly OpenSim. A sampling of presenters and their topics have been Larissa Nadolny, Rainforest Research OpenSim; Kay McLennan, Prisoner's Dilemma is not the Instructor's Dilemma; Marianne Clark, Lessons from Mendel's Garden Path; Sharon Kibbe, Virtual University and High School Credit through ECSLP, It Does Work; Rosalind M. Francis, Paper to Pixels, Composition and Literature Students Adapt their Research Papers in Second Life; Tuya Hines, Instructional Applications of Free Energy Physics and Scriptless Animations; Andy Wheelock, Renaissance Teaching, Renaissance Learning, Renaissance Education; Heather Dodds, Science Inquiry Skills in Second Life; Lauren Thurman and Lori Weedo, Immersive Technology of Escambia County. Many of these presentations have actually been interactive tours of the work. We have also hosted tours of our grids and other groups, including Virtual Worlds Best Practices Education MOOC 2013 and Science Circle. I'm extremely privileged to work with so many talented educator, builder, instructional designer colleagues, and many of you in the audience have taught classes or developed educational or social or art content in Second Life or OpenSim. What I would like to see is that the puppy of OpenSim is made easier to keep so that more can be in control of the server-side aspects of virtual worlds. I believe a necessary step to wider virtual world adoption in education requires, first, a ground-up game of educator builders developing content and showing its effectiveness for student learning and engagement. One day we might see publishers developing pre-bundled virtual world content or see more independent vendors offer this. But that time is not yet. What I think we need now is more virtual pioneers building and running OpenSim, and then demonstrating how well it works for student education or school community building. There are several schools that have already taught in the K-12 space using OpenSimulator, either using a vendor for hosting or running their own sims. The Islands of Enlightenment at Erie One Bossies, Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools Virtual School, Immersive Technology of Escambia County, Mission 5, 3D LES, in Dyer, Noble Virtual World, and there are certainly others that I'm not aware of. There are several universities with OpenSim grids as well. However, I do not have specific knowledge of their classroom usage. But adopting OpenSim with your own servers needs to be made easier, and this is Vibe's other focus. Early after starting out in Science Sim, we started collaborating with the consulting group Wizardry and Steamworks via Kira Komarov. One of her projects was to attack this problem of how complicated command lines are for OpenSim. Slide 10. This slide shows the general scheme of what we have now, after a few years of development, of having a pre-packaged operating system, Debian Linux, running a configurable OpenSim hypergrid standalone instance with many control features. VirtualBox is a hardware emulation program that lets you run a computer on a computer. We actually run all our grids off of 2 hardware servers. Features of the Clockwork virtual machine include IP auto-detect and configuration tools, a web interface to OpenSim, which includes both IAR and OAR uploads, and access to the console, auto restart of OpenSim if it crashes, a simple update tool for Debian and OpenSim, and daily saves of OERs and IARs. Slide 11. This shows the web interface, avatar registration, IAR, OAR uploads and downloads, web access to the console, as well as a password reset tool. Slide 12. This is one other aspect of VirtualBox that is essential to helping you feel you can't mess up anything really badly. The ability to make a snapshot. If you do this before any major configuration changes or updates and something goes wrong, you just roll back to where you were. Kind of like controlling your own Second Life region rollbacks. And a note. The virtual machine strategy here means that if you ever want to develop a whole grid, you can make copies of that and have that be your starting point. But also you can convert your files into something that runs on a virtual server farm. This is an experiment we have done with a presentation at the Weill Cornell Medical College in Cotter for a workshop, and currently with Indiana University School of Public Health. Clockwork is still under development by Wizardry and Steamworks, and is described and available at http://was.fm/opensim/clockwork. I'm happy to help you get started using it. Similar projects for running servers include Moses, with Moses in a box, Virtual World Studio, and Sim on a stick, although each one has their own features and differences. There are more universities and primary schools delving into OpenSim, with many people developing content. I hope we can find a good forum for sharing best practices and bringing more educators into virtual world teaching. Having your own virtual space that is easier to use and under your control is a way to do that. It can also be a development playground in which educators partner with artists and other content creators for educational builds, hopefully grant-funded. But these self-hosted strategies allow one to develop and deploy, hopefully more easily. To keep up with Vibe events, go to the website sites.google.com/site/Virtual Islands Better Education, as well as our Facebook group, www.facebook.com/Virtual Islands Better Education. Thank you for your attention.